What's up, you guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to Wavelength this week. This is episode number 2. Last week was my first episode, and that was so much fun. I'm really excited to be able to bring this new content to you guys. If this is your first time here and you didn't get a chance to listen to last week, my name is Atreo, and my new podcast series that you're listening to right now is called Wavelength, and it's where I get to have a conversation with someone that's a good friend, someone that, or maybe if they're not a good friend, there's someone that I'm very interested in because they have an interesting story, or something incredible to say. And really, it's just a complete honor to be able to bring this stuff to you guys and also be able to spend time with some incredible people. This week is nothing short of that. I have my good friend Minji Chang, Minji Chang. She's the executive director for a nonprofit organization called Collaboration, which champions Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the arts. They have different showcases around the country in a lot of major markets, also some smaller ones. It's completely 100% volunteer run, except for Minji. She's the president of it. She contributes so much to it and has helped so many different artists like myself find their voice and find community and be encouraged. And I'm excited to be able to bring this episode to you guys. So I hope that you guys enjoy it. A couple of quick announcements for this week. This past Saturday, actually, with Minji, she hosted an event. I was a part of it too. I was able to play a 20-minute set and share some of my songs with the people that were there. We were a part of this thing called the Dragon Kim Foundation. If you guys don't know anything about it, please make sure you spend some time to go check it out. It's in honor of this incredible kid named Dragon Kim who tragically passed away a few years ago. He was so young, but he had such a heart for music and the arts. He's an incredible talent and had such a bright future. And sadly enough, he was taken too soon from us. So his parents have set up a foundation championing just that, the idea of helping kids that are in need and are interested in learning and facilitating the learning of arts and encouraging them to pursue that. So make sure you guys go check that out. That would be awesome if you could. It's the Dragon Kim Foundation. They're on Instagram, they're online, all that stuff. So it was a really just incredible event to be a part of. And to be honest, I was not prepared for just the heart-wrenchingness of it. It was a beautiful, beautiful event, but it was, again, so sad because it was in honor of this young kid who had been taken away too soon. You know, I think there's a lesson in that, and there's a lesson in there that every single day that we have is truly a gift. And if this Monday morning, if you're on your commute or something like that, on your way to work or on your way to wherever you are, on your way to school, whatnot, I want to encourage you that to take this day as a gift and give it everything that you've got. As cliche and as kumbaya as that is, treat every single opportunity that you have as a gift. Because, I heard this this morning, at the end of our lives, we don't get a redo button. We don't get a time where we can say, okay, I live my life and now let's redo it. You get one. So I encourage you to live it to the fullest as you can. This week, I have another cover coming out. Last week, I did a cover with my good friend, Emily Bett Ricards. She plays Felicity Smoke on Atreo, if any of you guys are fans out there. Little known fact, she does sing, and it's the first time that she's publicly, I guess in this way, had sung something, and we had such a good time doing it that we are planning on a couple more. So make sure that you guys get ready for that. A lot of her fans really loved it, and a lot of my supporters loved it too. So we're going to do a couple more, and we're also going to have her here on Wavelength in the near future as well. It was really cool, really exciting. A bunch of different publications picked it up. 17 Magazine wrote an article about it, Jess Jarrett Jr., a couple other, what's it called? Kind of superhero comic publications picked it up. And what's crazy enough is that Maroon 5 ended up liking it, which was, just completely beyond me. I've been a Maroon 5 fan for a long time, and I'm just completely freaked out in a good way that even happened. Once I found out, I'd sent it to Emily, and she freaked out too because she's a huge, probably bigger fan than I am, which is almost impossible. But yeah, I'd love for you guys to go check that out. It's on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Travis Atreo. Without further ado, I want to jump into it. This is my time with Christine Minji Chang, Director of Collaboration, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode number 2 of Wavelength with your host, Travis Atreo. Hey guys, so I am here with you guys. I'm really excited about this one. This is episode 2, but I am so excited to have my really good friend. We are pretty much family, have been family for a long time, just not blood family.
Still family. I have she's an activist, social activist. She's a leader. She is the head of Collaboration, which is an amazing organization, if you guys don't know, that champions Asian Americans in the arts. And she's also an actress, a writer, and just all around woman with an amazing heart. And I'm here with my great friend, Christine Minji Chang. Thank you for being here on Wavelength. Thank you. I'm so honored. I can't believe this is your second episode and I'm your guest.
Of course, I had to. No, I mean, we've literally talked. We just talked for like an hour.
Pretty much.
I feel like just catching up.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. I feel like we can talk for literally days.
Yeah.
If we don't have a hard cutoff, then we'll just keep going.
Oh, I gotta go.
Right.
I have to record a thing. Yeah. I have to make money and live life.
So, you guys, I'm really excited though.
I'm excited too. I can feel your energy. We were doing an Oprah exercise where you're like putting your intention in the universe.
Your intention. Yeah, that's the word.
Yes.
Intention. Energy and intention. That's Oprah.
Yes. Whom I'm all about.
So let's kind of get into this. I really want everyone out there to know the story of Minji. I just call her Minji. When I was like, isn't her name Christine?
It's really not though anymore. If we're going to start my story off, it's kind of like, yeah, no one really calls me that anymore.
Yeah, they call you Minji, right?
When they call me Christine, I'm like, oh, we don't know each other.
Yeah, it's like super formal. You're like, oh, I don't know you.
Yeah, it's like a different hat. I'm like, hold on.
So let's start with this. So where are you from originally? I mean, I know this, but where are you from?
I am originally from the Bay Area.
Where specifically?
It's funny. I filled out a form recently. I was born out in Davis, by UC Davis. I was born out in the farmland, and I found out that I was born in Yolo County. What?
That's amazing.
Fun factoid.
You're only born YOLO.
Yeah. I was born YOLO.
You were born YOLO.
That's
amazing.
But then I grew up in Cupertino. Which I didn't know it was the headquarter for Apple until I was like 18. And then,
really?
Yeah, no.
That's funny.
You know when you live somewhere and you don't get how special it is until outsiders or
right,
grow brain, apparently in my case.
Well, I didn't go, I grew up in Seattle and I never went to the Space Needle until I was probably 25.
Yeah. That's like people in the Bay who don't go to the Golden Gate. They're like, oh, I know it's there.
Right. But you just don't.
But you don't go.
So you were born in YOLO.
I was born in YOLO. Grew up in Cupertino. And then in 8th grade, I moved to Pleasanton, which is just as it sounds. Very lovely.
That's still like San Jose-ish?
No, so that's East Bay. So it's basically the valley of the Bay Area. It's equivalent of the valley of LA. Very suburban, not very diverse. And then went to UC Berkeley for college, and then lived in Oakland, San Francisco. Now I'm here. So I've like done the whole.
You were like all over the Bay
Area circuit. I've kind of made a loop.
So then where are your parents now?
They're in the Dublin, Pleasanton area. They're still in the valley. I'm trying to convince them to move here.
To move to LA. I know I'm trying to convince my parents still too.
Yeah.
I'm like, and they really want to, but it's.
Your brother's here.
Yep, my little brother's here.
Yeah. What about your other brother? Where does he live?
He lives in Oakland.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then California.
I know. So we're literally the only family we have now in Seattle are my parents.
Yeah.
Because all the brothers left. Wait, so what did you study then?
I studied public health. I was really passionate about becoming a doctor.
Oh, man,
we're learning each other.
I know.
Learning about each other's friends. What did you study? I'm like flipping the script.
I didn't study.
Oh, you didn't? Well, you've done music.
Yeah. I went to school for.
Yeah, I know this. Okay, now it's all coming.
Yeah, I went to school for. It was actually worship leading first.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going to school for a bit for engineering and production, and then I never finished. So.
But you got what you needed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And you've always been like a total nerd when it comes to music and producing. So it's like your formal education might have stopped, but like you never. Yeah, you're such a geek about it. I love it.
That's why I think I become so biased against school because of that.
You're like, you don't need it.
Yeah, because I learned literally everything that I know, like from tutorials online.
Yeah, and like real life experience.
And real life experience, it's crazy. Anyways, no, that will.
Well, I was a total school.
Yeah,
like, I was a total geek.
Academia.
Yeah. No one ever had to pressure me about good grades because I was like, why wouldn't I get straight A's?
How Asian of you.
You know. Well, it's a thing. It was also like my brother and my dad were very mean to me, and they're always like making fun of how I looked. So I was like, oh, I don't have that going for me. I need to be smart.
Your family made fun of the way you looked?
Hell yeah.
What?
That's what family does.
Like in a racist way?
No, well, like they would just it was more like my weight and facial features, etc.
Oh, that's so mean.
Yeah,
well,
it was.
That's so Asian though.
Yeah, and my dad he's a ball buster. So my dad never meant harm. That's how he showers his affection on people.
Right.
You don't know that when you're 6. You're like, my dad thinks I'm so ugly.
Oh my gosh.
I have a picture of me crying.
That's probably, not a complex, but that's.
Oh, it messes with you.
I'm assuming that I'm going to just see the silver lining. I'm assuming that it made you into who you are.
It did.
The strong person that you are.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And then my brother was like, he was like my protector / bully. So anyway, yeah, but he's one of my best friends now.
That's awesome. So public health. So what did you graduate then with?
Bachelor's in public health as my undergrad. And I started out as molecular cell biology major at UC Berkeley.
Badass.
And no, I couldn't hang, so that stopped. But I loved public health because it was science and it was social science. So it was like all the nerdy. I was really good at bio. Really bad at chem. That weeded me out. I was like, I don't think I can do this doctor thing. But I really loved psychology, sociology, understanding people. Why do we do the things we do? What drives human behavior? What do they say about how to heal and, health issues?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I was really into that. And then I worked in public health for a little bit after.
Okay. And this is in the Bay?
Mm-hmm. In Oakland.
So then, because when I met you, you were already the director of Collab, right?
Yeah, but I started volunteering for Collaboration while I was working full time.
And just to tell you guys, so Collaboration, if you don't know, make sure you guys go, it was collaboration.org.
With a K. Collaboration.
With a K, yes. Yeah. Make sure you guys check them out. Amazing organization I was a part of. Well, I feel like I've been a part of it since I met you.
Yeah, in like every way.
Yeah, that's true, in every way. We played, and then I was the production director for about a year.
And then you played more.
So yeah, it's like, I feel like I've never left Collaboration.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
You're in for life. Sorry to break it to you, Travis.
It's okay. But you guys have to check it out. Please go to collaboration.org. Make sure that you look up what it is that they're all about. They have different showcases showcasing local Asian American talent in different cities across the U.S. Everything is completely volunteer run, which is incredible. I mean,
very proud.
When I started working officially with you, I was just inspired by these kids and how much energy they had at 21, which, man, if I could have that energy.
You do though.
But they're just their tenacity for community and for the arts. I mean, it was cool. It was like seeing all these I have this jaded spirit now.
Oh, don't we all?
Don't we all?
That's what we were talking about before this started.
And it's so nice to be able to see these kids just wide-eyed and just excited. And it really, it's amazing. But
and they were so honored to work with you. That's like the cool part. It's like, honestly, these kids, and you and I talk about this, but like people who've come through collaboration at some point, whether, they volunteered for a year or something, but it's friends of ours, people who are doing really amazing entertainment or media or arts work or not, like they're doctors or, running different companies. But that's like our shared touch point, and we all learned something out of it and went forth and conquered.
So then how did you, this is something I don't know, how did you end up getting involved with collaboration? So
it's funny. When I first heard about it, I was in college, and this is when Facebook just came into existence. When I heard about collab, it was before YouTube existed.
Was that when you had to be in college to be a part of Facebook?
Yes.
I remember that. Yep.
There are some ratchet ass photos on Facebook before it was like
that's funny,
a normal thing, because it was just college kids partying and putting up horrible photos that you want no employer to ever see. And there were like videos being shared. We would actually share files. We would like email links or like somehow like FTP or something or downloads. And I got a video of PK, who's a stand-up comedian. He's a founder of Collaboration. And he had sung these songs at UC Berkeley a few years prior to me being there. And I thought they were hilarious. The one song was called It Costs a Lot to Be Your Oppa. It's just the whole oppa dynamic. For those who don't know, oppa, it's like Big Brother in Korean, and like Korean culture has like a very big brother, little sister. I have to treat you to everything and buy you all the things that you want, even though we're not romantically involved. But I probably want us to be, but I can't say it. So it's a song about that and a song about his mom, and I was like, this is awesome. So I found out who he was, and I was like, what's this guy all about? And then people like slowly informed me that this thing existed in LA called Collaboration. I was like, that's so cool. Because once you're aware that there are these really horrible stereotypes of Asians and lack of presence and lack of diversity in TV, music, everywhere, in film, you're like, oh my God. So I immediately gravitated towards that. And I was like, I really want that to exist here. That'd be really cool. Then fast forward a couple of years, I became the co-president of CASA, which is the Korean American Student Association. I like jumped right into that because I'd broken up with a really bad guy, and I was like, I'm free. I'm gonna meet people. So
Were you still going to school this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So halfway through my college experience was when
for sure
that one left. And then and I got really social. I met all these people, joined CASA, became the co-president, and then I brought PK. And I was like, you need to be in our culture show.
Nice.
And then met him. He was awesome. And then I was like, why isn't there a collaboration in the Bay Area? And I was a total nerd. I went online and I was like, I found out that the Bay Area has more Asians per capita than LA.
Nice.
You should be here. I was like making a case.
That's very Asian college student of you. But that's awesome.
I was like, PK, what's up? And then so he was like, well, it's a volunteer organization, which I didn't know. And had all these. And he's like, you should run it. And I was like, no. So I shut him down to his face the first time I met him. And then fast forward a couple of years after I'd been working and stuff, a friend of a friend she was, a lot of different people were into it. She became the director, and she heard through the mutual friend. She was like, oh yeah, I know this girl Minji. She's like really into Asian stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah. So then she reached out to me through the friend, and they're like, hey, do you want to be an associate director of Collaboration San Francisco? And I was like,
that's awesome.
Dude, I was all about that a couple years ago. And I was like, sure.
Dang. So, okay. So what year was that then?
That was 2009.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been working about a year and a half. I lived on my own, had a salary, not a huge one, but like I was an independent woman.
Yeah.
All the women independent. Yeah, so I got into that. So everything since then was like a double, triple hustle. I was always working full time, friends, boyfriend, and collab.
Wow.
And it was like the barnacle that never left.
And
now I inhabit the barnacle.
Right. So public health, collaboration.
Yeah.
Fast forward, you're now the director of Collaboration, which is global, which at the time when you, was San Francisco the first that was not in LA?
No, they had a number of other cities. They had New York, Toronto, Chicago. And I think that was it.
Okay.
But the year that San Francisco started was the year that Seattle started.
Oh, right. Yes.
And Houston and DC. So 4 cities began that year. So that was like a very special year because all of us embarked on this.
Shout out to Henry Hahn.
Yeah.
Henry. That was when I first met Henry. For you guys that don't know, Henry Han was for me, he was a business manager for New Heights, the band that I used to be in. And so that's how we got really close. But we met him at Collaboration.
Yeah.
And we've just been, brothers ever since.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you guys please go check out Collaboration. There's so much history. There's so many artists. I mean, you could go on the different artists, like Far East Movement. Who else?
David Choi.
Keena
Grannis. AJ Raphael.
Yeah.
Clara.
So many were that was one of their first shows. One of
the first big shows or for a live audience. And,
right.
Yeah.
And so it's an amazing thing. And so now that you're the director, so then throughout this whole time acting, that muscle, that fire that you had for that, where was that?
That started when I was 4.
Really?
Yeah. Well, when you're a kid and then you think that everybody thinks the same way you do, you don't think you don't know what unique means. You just are. You're just who you are. And my mom put me into church plays and I just instantaneously gravitated towards it. Again, I wasn't really paying attention to my peers in terms of their performance or anything like that. I just really enjoyed it myself. And then everyone was like, wow, your daughter memorizes lines pretty, that's pretty impressive for a 4-year-old. And I don't have that many lines, but I think maybe the other kids had a harder time, maybe.
Right.
But for me, it was super fun. I was like, yeah, what's up? What do you want me to say? And so by the time I was 6, I had my first lead in the Christmas play.
Awesome.
I remember my brother was in that play. And it was good times. And, and I did musicals until I was 12. I traveled to Korea. I was part of an ensemble cast for the Korean Cinderella musical.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So the whole Santa Clara County, this really world-renowned director from Korea was living in the Bay Area, and he decided he wanted to put together a theater company for the Korean kids, Korean youth. And so we did this huge thing. I haven't really talked about this with anybody.
I honestly had no idea. This is really cool.
Yeah. And so I first joined that as a sparrow. There's a part of Korean Cinderella where the sparrows, they're basically the mice. The sparrows help Cinderella peck at the rice to shuck the rice.
Okay.
So I was a sparrow, number 9. And I was also 9 years old, so it was special. And then I was a neighborhood girl later on, and I was the youngest of that group. And I was intimidated by all the bigger, older girls that are so pretty and mature. And
so then
why am I in this group?
So is that something that you kept doing then for a while, or?
So then I did that until I was 12, and then when I was 12, we went to Korea, performed Korean Cinderella. We traveled around California, all that stuff. It was really fun. And then after that, I moved. Wow, my move changed my life.
Really?
Because it was peak Asian pride time. AZN.
Yep.
Capital A, little lowercase z, capital N. And I think I started really struggling with my identity at that time. I was not happy about leaving my friends. 8th grade's a really, do you remember 8th grade?
For sure, yeah. No, 8th grade that's a weird time.
Yeah.
Because you're still coming of age, coming to at least a conscious age about yourself.
Yeah.
Because before then, it's kind of rainbows and butterflies. You're just kind of you just are.
You're just there. Yeah. And now you're
exist.
really self-conscious and I was kind of I went through puberty pretty young, so I was self-conscious since 4th grade. But 8th grade's when you think you're top dog.
Right.
You're about to go to high school.
Yeah.
Your friends.
And so you moved.
Right in the beginning of 8th grade, they moved me. And so I moved to a very white city and suddenly became hyper aware that I was Asian and very different and from a very different.
So that's actually a question I wanted to ask you. When was the first time that you realized you were a minority?
I kind of always knew, but then because there's so many other minorities around me, you're less of a minority.
Right.
I was the Korean
especially
one.
in your community.
Yeah.
Your immediate community that you hang out with and see.
Cupertino was super mixed. I had white friends, I had black friends, I had lots of Asian friends. I went to church, so I was with Korean Americans all the time. And it's just everyone was. I had friends who were Latino and everybody was just themselves. And but when I moved in 8th grade to this really, it's probably 96% white. So that's where I was oh, I'm really different. Or these people, it was more not I'm different. I was these people are different than me.
That's awesome.
Because it's a very self-centered world you live in when you're 13.
For sure.
You don't get me.
You don't get me, Becky.
stupid.
So then how did that, not to be all kumbaya, but like how did that affect you? I mean, because you're 13, you move away from all your friends that are like you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're injected into this other community.
Yeah.
Was that a positive or negative experience for you?
At the time, it was totally negative. I took it, I think I had a big chip on my shoulder. I was really socially settled and I felt very happy where I was, and I did not appreciate having to move. I didn't put up much of a fight. I mean, there was nothing you can do when you're 13. You just do what your parents do, but I wasn't happy. I lied about my math aptitude because I wanted to have friends, but I didn't. Anyway.
You don't want to be the super smart, set alone one.
Yeah. So I was totally supposed to be in like the top Algebra 2 class. And when I haven't shared this story that much either. I got to my new school. They put me in pre-algebra, which like was very easy for me. And I just didn't say anything. I knew from the second I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. I like opened the book. I was like, no.
Did you have like a crew of friends that?
Well, I was trying to figure out who my friends were. It's like a very confusing time to like know where you stand because you're trying to like figure out the rest of the social scene, that universe, and like, well, who's who and who do I want to stay away from and who's my friend. And it was funny. I got to my first grade day of 8th grade and they assigned me the other Korean girl, one of the very few Asian people, but they're like, you should be Annie's friend.
Really?
Yeah. That was the first day, like within the first.
They assigned you to the other Asian.
Yeah. They're like, you should be Annie's friend.
Racist.
But she ended up being a really good friend. Well, I didn't think of anything. I was like, oh yeah, thanks, bro.
Right. Because when you're 13, you just, and especially because we grew up like, I remember the 90s, and I just, it was such a weird thing to not like that. I was very, very happy when I thought of that question. But it's like, when did you realize that you were not like the rest?
Yeah.
Because that's such a pinnacle moment for any Asian American.
Yeah.
And we all have a story.
Yeah.
With that. And because growing up and watching, Three Ninjas, they're all white kids,
Didn't think anything of it.
Like it was I didn't have that glass shattering moment until like way later.
How old were you?
Honestly, I think it was when I went back to Iowa. So I used to go to Iowa every summer with my older brother because my dad grew up in Iowa, and it was this really small town of Esterville, and like literally like only 1,000 people. Like,
wow, that's tiny.
Like we'd have to fly into Minneapolis because it was so far north in Iowa. We had to fly into Minneapolis and then drive 4 hours south just to go. Yeah, so my grandma would always pick us up, and then we would drive.
They would drive 4 hours to the airport?
4 hours to the airport and then pick us up, and then we would go drive 4 hours.
What
so, yeah,
an ordeal.
It's crazy. So even now, like, my aunt and uncle, they live there, and my cousins, and so every time they fly out, they got to go to Minneapolis. But I think that was the first time for me because I remember my grandma, my grandma Tina, she was the only Filipino. This is funny because she lived in Esterville forever, like years, but her accent never went away. Never.
So
She was literally the only Filipino woman there, and her accent just stayed until the day she died. Like, I was like, that's just so
it's
weird.
Like bottled in like a time capsule. It's like, this isn't going anywhere.
Right.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
I think that was kind of the first time that I realized, but thankfully that we were around a good community of people, and that was good too because people would always want her cooking and things like that. So it was like it was okay.
Hook it up.
But that whole those moments like really.
It's this very special like awakening for better or worse. Like it's kind of the self-awareness, and then you kind of you're still always figuring out how do I conduct myself from here.
Right.
Because I think when you're older and you realize that, the more, well, I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, the more self-aware I became and the more I embraced it, the better life got. But sometimes that takes a long time or never.
Right.
For you to actually like accept the fact that your difference makes you awesome. Like your uniqueness is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Yeah. But I have met people where they have kind of carried around their ethnicity or whatever it is that makes them different, and they carry that as like a burden. And I'm not trying to like be judgmental. I just noticed it. They'd say things like God, if only they're like a grown adult and they're like, if only I was white. I was like, yeah, maybe there's some, but like also you're pretty cool the way you are, you know?
Right. Why do you think that is though? You know, I mean, I think we, you know, pop culture and everything, and especially, you know, you like, you know, being a writer and actress and actress and activist. I think you should put that on everything.
An activist.
An activist. You know, like pop culture influences that kind of that mindset.
For sure.
You know, but when you don't see people that look like you know, for so long, then all of a sudden that rationale starts, you know, to come to fruition of if only I were white.
Right. And it's like a weird way of like gaslighting somebody, but it's not to say we're dictated by media, but it certainly has its influence. If you're like trying to differentiate, like, then how do you explain all the trends that we wear, what we think is cool, or you know, it's a very symbiotic thing. And so you can't help but be influenced, but hopefully over time with some introspection and like self-love or whatever it takes.
Yeah.
You know, meditation and listen to some Oprah podcasts or shows.
Brene Brown.
You kind of like come to terms with the fact that like these differences make you who you are and you embrace it. But some people can't get past that because maybe you get fixated on it and it just keeps manifesting.
Yeah, you know, and this is one of the things that I'm really excited for this podcast is I've realized that a lot of my supporters and fans are really just not the, you know, major markets, but there's a lot that are just not in the major markets.
All over the place.
And I feel like, you know, there's 18 million Asian Americans in the U.S. and rising, but we're a lot of times we're so spread so far thin, and so I'm hoping that not just Asian Americans, but my hope is that, you know, for the creators, and you know, the creators are kind of minorities in, you know, certain areas. I mean, if you know, like a tech area, like the Bay, or you know, anywhere else, I just hope that we can kind of foster some sort of community and people can feel like they're not alone.
Right.
And they can find people to relate to. Because I saw this TED Talk once, and this guy was, I don't even remember what it was about, but he made a great point. He was like saying, the internet's amazing because we now live in an age where if you are a polka flamingo dancer that plays the sitar, you can find your community.
Yeah,
like,
you can.
It's probably like very misplaced everywhere else, but you will find a community, and they're, you know, Reddit. Like,
yeah, you can message them somehow.
Yeah,
you know, start a chat room or like make a website to like congregate everybody.
Right, and I just feel like, you know, as creatives, Asian American creatives, you know, there's a lot of challenges and things that we all face that we don't necessarily talk about too much.
Yeah.
I mean, we do, but not specifically.
Yeah, which is really interesting because you and I have had, I mean, between you and me and our friends, when we're hanging out and like at these events together, we get to be very real and like just kind of complain and then also envision like, well, what is it that we want to have happen? And that's what I appreciate. That's why honestly we started our podcast with collaboration, because
by the way, check that out.
Yeah,
yes,
and you're such a natural, and you're like, Travis, you should really have your own podcast.
Honestly, yeah, I do have to give a shout out to Marvin and Minji, because they really are the ones that kind of made this thing happen. It really was last time that we did the podcast. You guys kept saying you should have your own.
Yeah,
and I was like,
you're such a natural.
I don't know, but really, no, thank you.
See, that's what family does. We push.
It's true.
We push and nag, but lovingly.
So as an Asian American creative.
Mm-hmm.
Why is creation, that sounds very biblical, why is creating art so important for our community in your eyes?
I feel, I'm a total feeler. I feel that we're in the middle of an awakening. We're still being awakened to ourselves. Like, you and I have been really lucky to have found our group, like our peeps, who we can really be real with, who challenge us, who have the same passions. And a lot, like you said, everyone's very scattered, so they might not be as lucky to find somebody that they can vibe with and like bounce ideas off of and complain to and dive into. But we've like early on, we've been like 8-9 years of like having these friends around us to be able to be introspective and dig and mine and figure out like, oh, this is what I want to do. We've been lucky. So I think we've had that awakening and understanding how that fits into the grander scheme, how media plays a big role, how this cycle keeps working and where we can play a part in it. But a lot of other people haven't. So I feel like we constantly have to keep creating, not only to keep ourselves fulfilled in expressing, because I think that's what artists inherently have, this like obnoxious, beautiful need to like just share and like feel and let people know how we're feeling. Right. Do you feel me? And then
well, it's like our story, you know?
Yeah.
It's our story, and you know, sorry not to cut you off.
No.
But Dante
Bosco.
Yes, Dante Bosco. Sorry, Dante Rufio. I was at an event last night, like I told you, and he said this amazing thing. This is kind of the question. It was, but yeah, I mean, pretty much we were discussing like why is it important for Asian Americans to create, and he said, for Asian Americans, it's so important because for the past 50 to 100 years, non-Asian Americans have been telling the Asian American story.
Yeah, exactly.
And it blew my mind. I was like, oh, he going in. All right.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, mind blown. That totally makes sense. He was like, you don't see that with other communities. I mean, you know, we saw it with that one terrible movie. Was it where they did blackface and stuff? The old one. God, I'm totally drawing a blank. But where they did like blackface and things. And it was horrible. And that never happened ever again.
Yeah.
You know, like different communities, like they won't let that happen.
Right.
But Asian Americans, it's just in our, I mean, I remember, you know, like just growing up with the lesson of like, you know, oh, don't cause a ruckus. Don't cause a tiff, you know, like.
I'm telling you though, and like I learned this through collaboration, like to finish my last thought, it's like basically it's a personal need that we need to share and express because that's what we just feel as humans. But on like a bigger level, in the middle of this awakening, we're all waking each other up by doing this. So we are blazing trails, and we've been inspired. There are like our predecessors who've been singing, writing, acting, making film way before us, and they made their impact, and it made the next step a little bit easier for the next person, or maybe not easier, but it opened a different door.
Yeah.
So I feel like this awakening is happening, and we got to pay it forward. Like it's it's not to be dramatic, but it's kind of like in being true to ourselves, we're fulfilling kind of like a responsibility that we have as artists.
Destiny.
To write history, to like be authentic and be like, this is how Asians actually are.
Right. Exactly.
You know, am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's just like exactly what Dante's saying. Like, why are we allowing other people to speak on our behalf?
Right.
I have a very personal connection to that because I'm an Asian female. I always had my father or some older person or a crazy boyfriend speak on my behalf. You know, I just can't really handle that anymore because I know how that feels to have everything dictated for me.
Wow.
So that's and now I dealt with all that anger, and now I'm like in a happier place. Like, no, I just want to like be me.
Right.
And that's taken me decades, and I feel like I'm just starting to scrape the surface of that.
Right.
For real.
That's amazing though, because I kind of went through this kind of awakening too. I think as artists we're always finding ourselves, and the more we find ourselves, I think the more we find our art.
Yes.
Because
it gets better.
Yeah, I've said this before, but like being an artist is really just it's putting your soul into whatever form is your medium. Like I'm a musician, I'm a singer, so my soul lamented is, if that's even a word, is through music, you know, and like yourself through writing and acting, and that's your soul.
Yeah.
And I think that's another, that it's just so important. I mean, that's probably why we are, as artists, we need to create and we need to tell these stories. But
I think with the Asian thing, it's like, this is what I've learned through being in collaboration for the last 8 years and meeting, like literally traveling around North America, going to Canada and Boston and Dallas and Detroit, and like meeting all these different kids from essentially different generations, but all like in this millennial group.
Yeah.
and a lot of similarities. Like a lot of the stereotypes are true. Yeah. And I've met brilliant kids, and they may not ever become artists, but like they have all these great ideas for like a marketing campaign or for like a cool element to add to the show, and they'll talk about it after the show's over. And I'll be like, dude, Jonathan, whatever, why didn't you say that? That's dope. Like that would have been so cool. Why didn't you like,
right.
And he's like straight up, oh, I didn't feel like it was my place. Like you're the director or so-and-so's the director and you know, I'm just here to help. I'm like, no, Jonathan, you're part of the team. If you have a dope idea that will make all of this better, speak up, you know? And I've seen that in multiple ways, in multiple instances. And so, yeah, we're finding our voice, and like you having your voice and me having mine inherently will help other people find theirs. That's my hope. That's my intention that I put out there.
Right, especially with the younger generation. I mean, you know, so much of what collaboration does and a lot of your efforts has been cultivating that kind of artistic mentality and attitude in the younger generation.
Yeah,
I feel
and
like
leadership.
And leadership, right. And I feel like a lot of what you guys do is just like telling these kids, hey, you should create.
Yeah.
It's like giving them permission.
Yeah.
Like you should. So
and you can, and you know, it's not bad. And even if it is, like, who cares?
Right.
That fear of failure, I mean, I think that's a very universal fear.
Right.
That's not special. But I think culturally, we're not, maybe, you know, degrees different, more conditioned to stay away from risk or from doing something off the structured, laid out path.
Right.
For various reasons. There's a lot of different reasons, and they're not invalid. I know I was scared of upsetting my parents. I had like invested all this time, money into a medicine track, and it was something I wanted to do. It wasn't like a bad career, and it wasn't. Right. But I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this acting thing. Like, really?
Yeah. So that's kind of where I wanted to go with this too. Is like, so, you know, you moved to LA. Mm-hmm. When did you move?
It's my 3-year anniversary today.
Oh, so I was here a year before you?
Yeah, you're here a while before me.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's today?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You know, actually, so Minji doesn't know this. Well, maybe she does, but I wrote a song that was inspired by you.
Shut up.
Yeah, and it was, I thought I sent it to you. It was like a country-ish kind of song.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was.
And I think I cried. I'm pretty sure I did.
But no, it was because it was about this character, and then, you know, through formulating, I was like, oh, it's Minji, and it was just about this because I mean, you know, also it's kind of it's also very relatable too, though, because there's so many of us. I mean, also my story too. You know, it's like you kind of get fed up with your hometown, in a sense, and then you just need to go where your heart is. You need to like be somewhere. So, I actually wanted to show you guys this song. It's just a demo. This is like literally it's old. No one's heard it before except for like my closest friends. There's not even a bridge because I was still needed to write the bridge. But I wanted to show you guys this song. And yeah, if I hope this for those of you that, you know, are creatives and are, you know, wondering and
oh my God, this is such like serendipitous timing. I'm going to cry again. By the way, I know I don't have it because my computer got stolen, so I don't have it anymore. So can you please send it again to me?
Yeah, I mean, it might be in your Gmail.
Okay.
If I sent it to you.
Okay.
But I'll send it to you again.
Smart person.
Anyways, you guys, I hope you, let me know what you think. Hope you guys like this. This is called, I don't even remember what it's called.
Let me figure out what the name of the song is.
Set Free. This one's called Set Free.
She's up early and she has been her whole life to catch the morning breeze. But today there's something written in the sky that's urging her to leave. But fear has got her turning around and love is pulling her to the ground. She needs to break this cycle somehow. Said, it's time, I'm ready to go. I'm leaving my tears on the side of the road, 'cause this ain't how life's supposed to be. time to let go of all she sees. Her heart is hurting, knowing well that it's alright, 'cause life is more than a memory. She said, it's time, I'm ready to go. I'm leaving my tears on the side of the road, 'cause this ain't how life's supposed to be. She said, this time I'm learning to fly, kissing my pain and the sorrow goodbye. This town ain't big enough for me. It's time for me to be set free. It's time, I'm ready to go. I'm leaving my tears on the side of the road, 'cause this ain't how life's supposed to be. She said, this time I'm learning to fly, kissing my pain and the sorrow goodbye. This town ain't big enough for me. She said, it's time, I'm ready to go. I'm leaving my tears on the side of the road, 'cause this ain't how life's supposed to be. She said, this time I'm learning to fly, kissing my pain and the sorrow goodbye. This town ain't big enough for me. It's time for me to be set free. It's time for me to be set free. It's time for me to be set free. It's time for me to be set free.
So that was Set Free. That was actually an unreleased song. I was kind of going through this country pop thing for a while, and I don't know. I've been kind of going through it again, and I have all these songs that I had written that were in that kind of vein, and I might just like kind of finish them and then just put it out like later this year.
Please do.
Just to do it, but.
I'm gonna cry.
But yeah, no, you really did inspire a lot of that song. Because it was really about this person that just needed to get out, the lyrics of the verse, or she's up early and she has been her whole life. Yeah, I can't remember the words.
I love how you're rediscovering the song. It's so fun.
But the chorus is, it's time, I'm ready to go. I'm leaving my tears on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause this life, I don't even know the lyrics.
Yeah.
Because this ain't how life's supposed to be.
Yeah.
She said, this time I'm learning to fly, kissing my pain and the sorrow goodbye.
This town ain't big enough.
This town ain't big enough for me. Time for me to be set free.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, and also, 'cause
on my anniversary, I can't.
Yes, woo!
I can't believe this timing.
And I mean, I again, like it was obviously inspired by you, but it was like my journey too.
Yeah,
it was like,
it's everyone's journey.
Yeah, and I was so against moving out of Seattle for so long because I wanted to foster the community there.
Right?
Right.
Were you like Seattle or die?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Same here.
Same, yeah.
It's like, I'm never leaving the Bay.
Right. And then it just dawned on me, it wasn't even, like, I still wanted that, and I'm actually really happy that I still have friends that are doing that, but it became a personal choice. It was like, I think I just need to get out for myself.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing so much for other people, and honestly, my best friend, JD, told me one time, he was like, you need to be selfish. And I was like,
Yes,
okay.
yes, queen.
Yes, queen.
Yeah,
because it was one of those weird moments. It was like, you're right, not like selfish in that way, but he was like, just, you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah, put your needs first.
Yeah.
Make sure you are met.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I ask you, so when you decided to leave Seattle, which is like for you a really big deal, was it a big deal when you made that decision?
I think it was, but I just was trying to downplay it so much.
Okay.
Like I remember when the day that I left, I got in the car, or I was with my parents and Allie was there, and she drove down with me. And I remember being like, okay, all right, it's time to go. Like just so focused on the time.
Yeah.
Because I have to because we had these checkpoints, we got to get here, we got to get to San Francisco at this time. And,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, like, my mom started crying, and then like my dad started tearing up, and then I started crying. It was like literally like such a quick like, oh my gosh, this is happening.
Yeah.
Thing, you know.
Yeah.
and you know it's honestly it's been amazing. Like I couldn't have been more happy with the decision I made. And you know, Seattle's only like 2 hours away, but yeah, it was just like for me, like I needed to actually do it for me.
Yeah.
And you know, because I was in New Heights for so long, and I just felt like I needed a new start.
Yeah.
And that was kind of also the inspiration for the song, you know, like it's time for me to be set free from all that, and I just need to go.
It's funny because some of the big decisions, not all, but some of the big decisions in my life were really simple, and LA was actually one of them.
Really?
So it's funny because a lot of the friends and family around me were really excited, and they're treating it like as a huge deal. But for me, it never caught up with me like that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to LA. Like it was oddly like comfortable and made sense. I was just like, yeah, that's where I need to go. You know, like what am I going to do here?
Right.
Not what am I going to do here? Like, you know, but I was like, that's that's my next step. It's
That's
kind
awesome.
of like,
you know, my mom always said that sometimes like the things that are best for us in life, just they just it's easy.
yeah, it naturally happens.
Naturally happens.
Yeah. And it was a very, everything else in my life at that time was actually really chaotic. I was going through a hard time personally.
Yeah.
For some reason, out of that, in retrospect, I think that was the one thing that I really just trusted and went with.
Wow.
I didn't fight it. I was like, okay, I'm supposed to go.
Yeah.
Bye, bae.
Bye, bae. I'll see you soon.
See you later. I had the same attitude. I was like, you're right there. I'll be back.
I know, right?
It's an hour flight.
Right. I know. I say that all the time. I'm like, you know, it's a 2 hour flight, and I'm like, I haven't gone back in like a year.
But literally sometimes I'm like, an hour flight, or it's like a 50-minute flight. I was like, that's like how long it takes me to get downtown from my apartment.
Seriously, no, isn't that funny? Like that's the funny thing about LA. Like you could literally fly to places
Faster than you could drive.
in different states. Yeah, faster than you could drive.
We're a
So-
special place.
So I want to ask you a couple more questions. One of them can you recall, because you know you're obviously a working professional. Can you recall a moment in your life that was a pinnacle turning point for you, or like a defining moment that set you on a trajectory of where you're at now? You know, we were talking before we even started, like, you know, it takes people to get angry to, you know, start change, or at least fight for change.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if there's any moment that you can recall that was that for you, that put you at that also kind of lit the fire under your ass to be like, I'm going to go for it and be creative, and I'm going to do it.
My heart is racing.
If you don't want to talk.
No, I love you for asking that. Okay, the reason why, I'll just like preface the answer by, I'm
Please.
very open about my life, and I'm actually learning how to be vulnerable, which is different than open. And that's I've learned in the last less than a year, and it's kind of broken me a little bit. I have talked about the fact that I was in a bad relationship before. I feel, I'm gonna keep it really real with you. Between you and me, I can tell you whatever, but when it's kind of like in a public setting,
Yeah.
I still feel like there's a little bit, I fear judgment, or like, oh God, you're talking about an abusive relationship. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I think maybe it's the society that we live in, that there still are people who go like, oh God, cry me a river. Like a lot of people go through worse, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, and I don't want to come off like I'm playing victim.
Right.
But for me, it's what happened in my life. So, and it was my turning point, which is why I can't shy away from it. And I don't want to act like, oh, well, it was that day that I just wore a really bad outfit, and then I got over it and I realized I'm my own woman. And, you know, it wasn't that. For me, it was like a really terrible thing that a lot of women go through, and men.
Yeah.
A lot of people go through and like don't talk about. But in any case, I'm writing about it, so we'll see
awesome.
whenever that comes out into the world. But it's come up more and more, and so I don't know. I still feel like this weird need to like defend myself a little bit. Like I'm not trying to.
Right.
be a sob story.
No,
Which sucks because I would never treat another person sharing their story like that. I don't know why I apply that to myself.
Well, I think too, you know, like we have like this, as creators, we're always like meant to, you know, we're critiquing our own art.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so we do the same thing with ourselves.
Yeah.
And because a lot of stuff that we do it's for the public eye.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's personal.
Right. And like I preface all the time. It's like, well, I don't want to come across this way. I don't want to come across that. The thing that I'm trying to learn a lot more is to be unapologetically me.
That's the word I was thinking of.
Yeah. And I like just real quick before you get into it, for me, I've had this whole self-discovery thing, and the music it's been tough because I was so down on myself that I couldn't even write a song. Like that's why that song Set Free was so important, was because that was one of the first songs I'd written at the time in years that I'd finished.
Really?
Yeah, because I was so like self-deprecating, the word. Like I was so in my own head about everything about it that I couldn't just let art be art. That's why I'm such an advocate now of like whatever's on your heart, whatever's on your soul, like put that out.
Yeah.
Because one, it's therapeutic for yourself, and then two, like there's so many people in this world that could benefit from hearing your story that you just have no idea, especially, you know, like, you know, we're talking to microphones and it's going to go
into the universe.
And we have no idea who that's going to impact. And I think also what we talked about with like even the Asian American, you know, movement of telling our stories, like I think the human thing is like, we need to tell our stories. Yeah. So I want to encourage you and anyone else out there that's listening, like don't ever be afraid to tell your story, because it's important. Yeah. It's important on so many levels.
Yeah. And find your way to tell it.
Right.
And
right.
I feel really grateful. And again, I don't know why I'm being so like weird about it, because I have shared my story before and in various formats, and I've never gotten a negative response. I've gotten really beautiful, like vulnerable responses from other people who do connect with it. A lot of them personally, like as in they went through it themselves, or it's literally like their mother or their sister or their best friend or their cousin or somebody went through it. But in any case, to answer your question, because I do this a lot with you, it's like a whole other tangent. I was with somebody for 5 years when I was very young, from the time I was 14 to 19. And it was abusive in every way except he didn't hit me. But a lot of the time I wished he did. Wow. I would rather have had him. Wow. Which I didn't realize until recently either. Anyway, not to like dive to, but 5 years is a long time.
It's a long time.
It's a really long time. And it's such a different version of who I was, but I still feel like it's me, but like not me. Yeah. You know, when you look at your younger self, you're like, how and why?
Right. And it's like a weird, like, existential piece of you.
You're like, what? But you remember making these decisions to like cut your hair like that, or like, right, bro. Right. So yeah, I just remember in totality, I gave him full control of everything that I did, said, my tone of voice, where I went, who I was with, how long I was with them. I dictated my college schedule around. I almost didn't go to Berkeley. It was just, it ran that whole gamut. So once that ended, and it was like a very, for lack of better words, it was fairly traumatic. Yeah. Oh, I'm fine, and like I have so much love and goodness in my life that I'm totally fine. I'm great, but that was my turning point of like, that was my awakening. It was like I had lived in a box with no light, and suddenly there was like a hole that shined through, and it was so bright that I was like, and then I just broke through. And once I saw the light, I'm getting so like meta here, but once I saw that light, I couldn't go back. And that's when I knew I was really done with him, because I'd tried to get out of this relationship for years. It was that same cycle. It's like a textbook cycle. Yeah. But I did. I got out of it somehow through my brother, my older brother, like saved my life in my eyes. And that was my turning point. And it's such a wonderful, bizarre, liberating feeling. Liberating is the word. I felt free. I was like, I can do what I want.
How old were you when this
19.
happened? Wow.
So I was like, oh, this is my life.
Yeah.
I want to this is I was not allowed to make basic decisions for myself. Like, let's just put it that way. And so to this day, sometimes I still think about it. Hasn't left me. I still like go places and I'm like, I can do it. But but I've turned it into like an empowering feeling. Reminding myself that I always have the choice to do what I want.
Right.
And that nobody can force me. No one's twisting my arm and no one's like guilting me into this. This is my life, so I can do it. And for better or worse, because sometimes that's a really stressful thing. Like, I have so many choices. What do I choose? But I try to choose every day to be like, how I want this to play out is up to me. I have influence on this. I'm not a victim. I'm not going to be at the mercy of all these circumstances around me. I'm getting dealt these cards, but this is how I'm going to play it. That was my awakening for just life. And it at least started the ball rolling for acting, for whatever. It's literally just shifted my entire attitude because I was so grateful to be out of that. And gratitude, I think, is the core of happiness and joy. A lot of things can kind of get us out of the grateful mindset. There's a lot of ways that we can be knocked off that path.
Right.
But I think it's when we find that grateful feeling, we find happiness again. However much we stray. Anyways, but yeah, that was my turning point for sure.
I mean, I'm just so happy that you did find the light, you know, because I feel like there's a lot of people that, the reason why I asked at 19, you know, because I've known a lot of people that are older than us now that don't ever get to that point. Yeah. You know, and it's scary.
I've had family members, you know, like that's what I discovered in that whole journey. That it was a shared pain point, but in the way I felt honored and responsible. That if I shut up about this and if I act like it didn't happen, I still somehow feel shame because I knew I shouldn't be with this guy. I knew he was like empirically, objectively not a good guy. Right. But like, you know, when you're in love and you're young and whatever, and you just reason with yourself and it sucks you in.
Right. Yeah, especially at that age too. Like we have this really big fear of being alone. Yeah. And we're so scared of being alone.
So and it morphs when you're older too.
Right. No, yeah, totally. Yeah. It morphs into like a different, like when you're young, it's like, I don't want to be alone physically. Yeah. And then, you know, mentally being alone and not, you know, like when you're older and stuff. But I had this like kind of realization. I talked to my mom today and she was awesome. She kind of made me cry a little bit. And she was just encouraging me. And she was saying, she said a bunch of stuff that I wanted to write down, but I didn't. But moms are great.
Yes, they
are. She was pretty much just saying, like, don't allow anyone else's expectations of you define you. Mm-hmm. You know, just don't do that because it's not their life, it's yours. I was telling you, you know, a lot of inspiration. I'm just going to be real. Aisha, if you listen to this.
We will get this to her. I will help you, Travis, in your quest.
Aisha, I love her and she's a friend and she's just a huge inspiration for all this. But she said in one of her podcasts, you know, that we, you know, as hippie as it is or whatever, as Oprah as it is, you know, we only have one life. Yes. And at the end of your life, there is no redo button. Yep. At all. Yep. So have the best damn life that you can. Yep. And, you know, as, you know, cliche as it is, live it to the fullest.
Absolutely.
Like in every day, you know, I mean,
and that's easier said than done, but so worth it. Right. And everyone's version is different too. That's what it took me time to like give myself even space to figure that out. Right. Because again, and honestly, we're going to be totally millennial here, but living in social media, it fucks with you. Yeah. Yeah. Like there's no other way for me to put it. It fucks with your head so bad. And some days I feel like I'm above it and that, you know, it's water off a duck's back. I don't care. This doesn't influence me. I'm me and I'm cool. And like, no, you're like, I'm not as pretty as her. And she has such a nice waist and her nose is perfect. And she has a boyfriend that like adores her and gives her flowers even when she doesn't ask for them. And her dog's so well trained and she just travels everywhere. You know, no. Even when you know it. Right. Even when you logically know it, it still fucks with you. Right. So we just need to remind ourselves and each other.
Seriously, yeah. And I mean, you know, like social media, you know, it really can just But it's funny, you know, having so many different friends of different, like, you know, there's everyone, no matter where you're at in your career, in your life, everyone got problems.
Hell yeah.
Everyone. And it's like, we have to go do away with, I want to trade my life for theirs, because you have no idea what their story was, the things that they've seen, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, what did you say? You said gratitude.
I think it's the core of happiness.
Is the core of happiness.
Yeah,
I love that.
joy,
That's beautiful. And, if we can just, one, live life to the fullest, but if we can just make that conscious decision of, I am going to have the best day. I am going to do this for myself.
Yeah.
I think that our art, I think everything else about us, it will flow.
I've been learning this through other friends. This is by no means like I just woke up one day and I was like, this is how I became hungry for it, because I kept meeting different people that like, I was like, what is it about you? Like, you're so at peace, and I really like that about you, and I want that. So then I ask, like, what do you do? And everyone has their version. It might not be your thing, but like, I started meditating. I told you I was like in a really chaotic time right before I moved to LA, and right after I moved, that year was like really kind of nuts for me. But I started meditating. I'd always really been into fitness for like vanity purposes.
Right.
But I found that
we all are.
Yeah. I wanted to find my version where it's just like, because it's fun.
Right. Or therapeutic.
And therapeutic. I actually really do like running. I actually really do like yoga now. I used to hate it. But those become habits, right? And so like, I say this with friends who are in this universe of arts and creativity or not, we are a product of our everyday little things. Our little behaviors add up to like the big thing. That's the name of my production thing that I decided upon. And it's going to be called The Little Things.
Oh, that's awesome.
I am a little thing. I'm a tiny little person. But
we are the sum of all those.
We are the sum of those things. And we can change those things. That's the ultimate truth of like, nothing stays the same, y'all. Like, everything keeps changing.
Right.
So if you can have influence on that, like, I would like to change things so that they work out to my benefit.
That's true. I know, like, I heard the only thing that's constant is change.
Yes, exactly.
Like, no matter how much you want something, it's funny. I've tried to turn that phrase into, because usually it's kind of a bad, scary thing that, like people say it like their high school graduation or something, like time, we can't stop it.
Yeah.
But a lot of, actually, because I started running a few years ago too, and I took that lesson of like time. It was like, you can't stop the seconds that are going by, like, especially those moments when you're literally dead tired and you're like, I can't do another mile.
Yeah.
Like, I told myself, I was like, if you just keep your feet going, time's gonna keep going too.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get there eventually. Just keep going.
Yeah.
In the most logical sense, just like 1 foot forward.
Just keep on.
Next one. It's such a great lesson for life. Like, even I tell myself too, like, for the bad times, like, the bad times will not last forever. They just won't.
They won't. Yep.
So even if you wanted them to, even if you held on to them every day, you're like, no, I want the bad times. I'm an emo kid from Seattle. Like, no, like.
Is it raining?
Right. And it just won't. You know? And then, the vice versa, the opposite is like, the good times won't either. So, you know, count your blessings. I did want to wrap up with one question that I think I'm going to ask everyone with this new series. But Frank Ocean wrote like a letter to himself, like back when he was 15. Like, he wrote to himself, like now, to his 15-year-old self.
Okay.
And I remember reading it, and it's so cool. It was like, he was like, you're doing this is your job right now. I know what you're thinking right now, but you have to keep going, because you don't know that in a few years you're going to be with Jay-Z in a studio, and you don't, things like that. Yeah. And obviously, like, that boy's seen, success and stuff, but we've all seen success just, by growing into our own selves. And, we're not always where, I think that one of the things that you and I always, talk about and are always connect with is, we both have this entrepreneurial mind. And so we're never really, the goal for us is kind of fleeting, because we don't, like
you're never going to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you could tell your 15-year-old self something, what would it be? Probably should have sent this to you earlier.
No, it's all good. I think the core message I would want to tell my 15-year-old self.
And it's hard, right? Because you got to rethink.
I would tell her, you're enough. You're good the way you are. You're good. You're fine. It's all there. Like, I would just reassure her and say everything good and beautiful that you're trying to find elsewhere, it's there. You have it. I really wish I had had some inkling of that. That would have been nice. And it's so weird because, yeah, in retrospect, I look at her, I'm like, you have everything. Why are you,
Why are you stressing?
I was a little lost bunny. But she found her way. So, but yeah, if I could like hold her and tell her, you're going to be okay. You're strong. You're like all the things that you think you're not, you are. You're enough.
That's amazing. Thank you, Minji.
Thank you, Travis. I love this. It's so much fun.
I think that's a great way to end this amazing discussion.
I want to listen to my song again.
No, seriously, thank you so much, Minji. Make sure that you guys go check out collaboration.org, see what they're all about, see what Minji's all about. She's acting, she's writing, she's got a bunch of awesome stuff. So follow her on all social media.
And now it's recorded on a podcast, so I have to do everything.
Yep. Setting goals, executing.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks, Minji.
Thank you.
That you build with your feet.
I hope you guys really enjoyed that episode. That was a special one. I've been, like you guys have heard, if you've made it this far into the podcast, Minji and I go way, way back, and she's been just a really, really big encouragement to me and what I'm doing. And I'm just really, really thankful to have her in my life. And I want to encourage you guys, if you are Asian American and you are in the arts, whatever arts you are, whether you're an actor, writer, songwriter, singer, music producer, any of that, and you are looking for community, I would encourage you to seek out and see if there is a collaboration in your area and get involved, because it's an awesome thing to be a part of. And I guarantee you that you'll feel encouraged by getting involved, also helping your fellow community, and really just being a part of a great arts community. I've been doing this for a minute, and there's so many times where I feel like I want to give up, but I owe so much to my immediate community and the people that believe in me to help me keep on going. And I encourage you guys to find yours if you haven't found that yet. And if you have, be a lending hand and encouragement to your fellow creators, because we're a lot more similar than most people think. So. Anyways, thank you guys so much again for tuning in to this episode of Wavelength. This literally is episode 2. I'm so excited to be bringing all this stuff to you guys. Make sure you check out my cover this week. Comes out on Wednesday. Please, if you can, sign up for Patreon. If you want to support a little bit more, please go ahead and do that. And you guys keep shining. I love you guys so much. This is Travis Atreo, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.